Dmitri, you know how we've always talked about the possibility of something going wrong with the bomb. The bomb, Dmitri. The hydrogen bomb. Well, now, what happened is, one of our base commanders, he had a sort of, well, he went a little funny in the head. You know, just a little funny. And he went and did a silly thing. Well, I'll tell you what he did. He ordered his planes to attack your country. Well, let me finish, Dmitri. Let me finish, Dmitri.
Yes, Brigadier General Ripper, played masterfully by Sterling Hayden, did have a little bit of a problem. He went a little funny in the head. He was paranoid. He was a conspiracy theorist, and he finally went full-blown psychotic and launched an air attack against the Soviet Union, locking himself inside his post and waiting for the imminent attack by American soldiers to try to bring back the bombers.
I can no longer sit back and allow communist infiltration, communist indoctrination, communist subversion, and the international communist conspiracy to sap and impurify all of our precious bodily fluids.
General Ripper was a fictional character, but this man wasn't. This is Ralph Renee. He said we never went to the moon, and spent most of his adult life disparaging that achievement and all the people involved with it. And he was every bit as psychotic as Ripper's character. But Renee got most of his ideas from this man, Bill Casing, who was the original founder of the moon landing hoax conspiracy theory. In most of what he says and writes, you can see his hatred of the American government and his distrust for organizations and institutions. He lived in a trailer out in the desert with his entourage of cats and wouldn't eat meat bought in American markets. He was a full-blown paranoid psychotic, just like General Ripper. He had an undergraduate degree in English and went to work for Rocketdyne, which was associated with NASA, working in their publications department. It is for this reason that he has become the grandfather of the modern hoax theory. He was able to write a book which he cleverly titled, We Never Went to the Moon. He left Rocketdyne 3 years before the beginning of the Apollo program and was by no means any kind of technical expert. So how did this hoax theory get started? Did he uncover some top secret documents or overhear a conversation between some of the bigwheels? It might be interesting to see just how the whole thing got started. And remember that nearly everything people claim, even to this day, originated with this man. Here is a clip from a telephone interview with Casing, which can be found in a 6-part series on YouTube.
What motivated me to spill the beans was a young man from Vietnam Wars by the name of John Grant, and he said that he was sent to Vietnam to kill people with no good reason. He also got a heroin habit, and he says, Bill, he says, what I want you to do is to blow the whistle on this rotten, corrupt government. And he says, why don't you say something outrageous like we never went to the moon? So I attribute my interest in this project to John Grant.
After hearing that, I don't know how anyone could take anything that this man said seriously, or how anyone could take seriously any of his successors who keep parroting the same nonsense that Casing did. Casing's inspiration came from some Vietnam vet who apparently hated the United States government as much as Casing did. It wasn't a matter of a moon hoax. It had to do with his hatred for the United States, and that was a consequence of his paranoid psychosis. In case you missed what he said, which absolutely demolishes his credibility and discredits any other statement he might have to make about Apollo. Let's hear it again.
He says, why don't you say something outrageous like we never went to the moon? So I attribute my interest in this project to John Grant. He says, why don't you say something outrageous like we never went to the moon?
Well, there it is. He started the moon landing hoax conspiracy theory not because of some discovery, but because of meeting someone else who was equally angry toward the United States government. And now he had a weapon that he could strike that government with, and people have been using his same stupid arguments for the last 35 years. And don't make the mistake of thinking that he's any kind of an expert at all just because he says nitrogen tetroxide and unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine in hypergolic reactions every chance he gets, whether it's relevant or not, does not mean he has any idea what he's talking about. I can memorize words like that too. Casing is dead now, and so is Ralph Renee, but their schizophrenic, paranoid nonsense is alive and well today as it's carried on by people who don't have a clue what they're talking about, but are trying desperately to get attention and sound like they're smarter than they are.
He says, why don't you say something outrageous like we never went to the moon? He says, why don't you say something outrageous like we never went to the moon?
Have you ever heard of a thing called fluoridation? Fluoridation of water?
Yes, I have heard of that, Jack, yes. Yes.
Well, do you know what it is?
No, I don't know what it is now.
Do you realize that fluoridation is the most monstrously conceived and dangerous communist plot we have ever had to face?
Why is it that such insane people, just because they can write a book or make an appearance, are followed for so long by so many on the basis of so little? Some are even clinically diagnosed as schizophrenic, psychotic, like L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, who built a cult making millions of dollars, which still has tens of thousands of followers and is based on the most insane of premises. It is disturbing to me how people like these, who are not paradigm-busting geniuses or heroic truth-seekers of any kind, but who are simply insane, hateful egotists, can gain legions of faithful, gullible, intellectually lazy followers who spout their psychotic garbage for generations on end. They were no less insane than this character. We laugh at General Ripper's delusions, but the paranoia of Renee and Casing is not so funny.
I first became aware of it, Mandrake, during the physical act of love. Yes, a profound sense of fatigue, a feeling of emptiness followed. Luckily, I was able to interpret these feelings correctly. Loss of essence. I can assure you it has not recurred, Mandrake. Women sense my power, and they seek the life essence. I do not avoid women, Mandrake. But I do deny them my essence.
Yes.